Hi, everyone. I am Natalie Jobity, the Brilliance Unveiler and founder of The Unveiled Way and creator and host of the Power Shift Summit, Women Igniting Change and Shaping the Future. I am thrilled to bring this event to women globally because I believe this is at a pivotal point in time where women are being called to rise up and shine up. These authentic, unedited, powerful conversations are meant to ignite your inner fire so you will be inspired, motivated, and emboldened to take the reins of your destiny and soar as a powerhouse woman that you are. And our powerhouse speaker today is the phenomenal Melissa Minnich. Welcome, Melissa.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here with you and to share. Thank you for
I
having
I can't wait. So Melissa has a lot. We're going to talk about Melissa for a minute here. So Melissa is an internationally recognized speaker, author, and humanitarian. I love that. And dedicated to transforming lives through the integration of quantum healing, neuroscience, and ancient spiritual wisdom. Her career is a testament to her passion for exploring the interplay between science and spirituality, and her work has significantly impacted the fields of personal development and consciousness studies. She's the founder of the Intuitive Intelligence Academy and Sacred Alchemy Mystery School, which she established to delve into the realms of quantum physics, energy healing, Vedic science, providing transformative education and training. She's the #1 international best-selling author and creator of Quantum Miracles docuseries. Her fourth book, High on Life, A Prescription for Bliss, hit shelves in January. Okay, we're going to be supporting Melissa. And the docu-series have reached over millions of viewers worldwide, contributing to a global awakening. I have to share this last part because it's so great. Melissa has shared stages with the amazing Marion Williamson, Bruce Lipton, and Neil Donald Walsh, and continues to inspire and educate through her speaking engagements and collaborations. Oh my God, Melissa. So I'm so excited to get into this topic of High on Life,
you.
A Prescription for Bliss. Now, I'm just curious, what made you call your book that? And what was the impetus for writing it?
Absolutely. Well, this is a really great question. So I used to be high on drugs. I was an international drug trafficker in my 20s. Um,
What?
after I graduated summa cum laude from Ohio State and was at the top of my class. And then after 9/11, I lost my job and went into a deep, uh, downward spiral. I lost the relationship, the love of my life. And so I did what any traumatized, because I hadn't healed any of my shit by that point, traumatized, 20-something-year-old does. I became a drug dealer. But drug dealing turned into an international experience where a lot of people went to prison. There was a lot of things that happened.
Wow.
And so I was high on drugs. And as I transferred out of that, trying to heal my life, because I was either going to go to prison or die, I went on a journey to try to heal myself. And through learning to heal myself and through the processes and traveling all over the world, sitting with gurus, doing shamanic trainings, healing my body, going back to school to learn about the brain and everything, I got to a point where I would be at events or parties or experiences, and I'd be dancing, I'd be doing stuff, and everybody would be like, what is she on? And my friends would be like, she's not on anything, she's high on life. Like, she's just high on life. And it became this, like, because I live in a place of called Bliss Consciousness,
Mm.
that I literally, what I now know to be true is drugs give you a frequency to tell you, to allow you to feel a certain way, so that you can now understand how to get there by yourself. And even with, like, whether you want to talk plant medicine these days or anything, it is about, like, I was using that one because I had trauma, one, sexual trauma, all these different things that I hadn't healed, but I was trying to find something that was already within me. And so then I learned through all of these years of healing and processes that I now teach across the world how to do it within ourselves. And so I'm literally like, I'm high on drugs, but I'm not. I'm high on me in life.
Yeah.
And so that's my, short version of high on life, a prescription for bliss.
Wow. So how would you define bliss consciousness and give us a sense of what that feels like?
Hmm. So let's start with what that feels like. So have you ever had an experience or a moment, and everyone has, where you're just so overwhelmed with joy? Maybe it's looking at a sunset, or when a baby is born, or when you just have this like moment, and you feel like this expansive energy, and you're like, it brings tears to your eyes, and you're just like, oh my God, everything is just right. And it's just, for most people that pop into that experience is fleeting. It's
Yeah.
a moment. It doesn't sustain itself. Well, that is where you have broken the veil and you've gotten an opportunity or a moment to live or to feel or experience a higher state of consciousness. You can also get it through things like doing psilocybin journeys and ayahuasca and right all of these other things that people use as substances to get to the substance. And so we have these peak experiences or these peak moments that allow you to tap into what I call the God field. And you can call that the unified field in science, or you can call it consciousness from Vedic science, or the 0 point field, right? Whatever you want to call it, God, source, etc. But it is when you are literally plugged into that for a moment, everything is synchronistic. Magic and miracles happen around you because that's your actual birthright in your nature, and everything flows. It's that flow state of living in that, and you're full of this, and it's in your whole body. So that is the feeling of bliss consciousness. But the thing
Wow.
with bliss consciousness is it's not just a fleeting thing. It is actually your divine experience and right as a human to be in that state.
Yeah,
But
more than not.
yeah, but we're not, most people are not, but
So
we
I'm
have,
saying more, be in that state more than not in that space.
right, more than not. Yeah. And so most people pop into it and then pop out and go to the regular lives, or they'll have a moment. And so what I talk about with bliss consciousness is how do you dip down in, dip the cloth over and over again until the colors of who you are become so laden with that energy that it becomes the baseline of who you are. And that is bliss consciousness. And when you hit that, everything about your life changes. Everything about who you are, the way you judge the world, the way you see, the way you look at yourself, to the point where things like when I did this, my timeline shifted completely, but my biometrics on my face changed. I had to get a new passport.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
So I literally, because I was living in such a high state, I jumped a timeline to where my physical body changed without me doing. I didn't have plastic surgery. I
Wow.
didn't do anything. I was at a point where I literally, everything about my life changed. My business, my life, my everything. But the people, the part that people see is the physical. So I always start with the physical because people are like, you just don't even look the same, right? My face changed its shape a little bit, and then also I grew out my hair. My body always stays at its perfect weight. It never changes. It doesn't matter what I do anymore, right? Like
Wow.
all these things, because when you're plugged into that field of energy, it's pure love. It's the healing of everything that you are. And so that's the ability that we have. And that was it's what we're all seeking. I say, when we first are seeking substances or seeking scrolling on social media or numbing out in front of the TV or whatever it is, it's because we're disconnected from ourselves. And the seeking of substances or the seeking of things is because we're searching for connection and love. But we first think it's self-love. We first think it's connection to others, but there's actually a deeper energetic connection that's beyond all of that, that when you plug into that, everything else is aligned. It's
Oh my
awesome.
gosh. Oh my gosh. Like you just said a whole thing right there. And I'm just, my brain is like going ching, 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 ching. I just bought a grounding mat. I just it was delivered, and literally you plug this mat into the wall and it's supposed to help ground you and center you. But what you just said, it's like you said plug into that state of being. And I'm like, how do I plug into that state of being? Like, so
Yeah.
I know it's a process and a journey clearly, but like, and even to call it bliss, like you using the word bliss, was it intentional to use the word bliss?
Absolutely, because your brain actually produces bliss chemicals, so oxytocin and norepinephrine in your brain. That when they do scan, so I'm a scientist. I'm getting a PhD in the science of consciousness, right? And so you can actually look at the brain and see the different patterning in the brain, and there's different chemicals that are released into the body. So it is literally a bliss molecule that
Wow.
is released. Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned how your physical change when you tapped into this consciousness, and you said your whole life changed. Share more about how your life changed and how it allowed you to be more impactful in what you do and gave you more what's the right word here? I don't want to use the word power because I don't mean it that way, but gave you more influence or more,
Mm.
I don't know what the word is,
Yeah,
expansiveness or whatever. I don't know.
power, influence, connection,
Influence, yeah.
things, you know, is really, and so first off, with the thing of the physical change, that came over a period of time. Like I had my first experience of unity consciousness, bliss consciousness in 2015. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I got to figure this stuff out. But I didn't have my first change or shift until 2017 because I was learning. But so the actual living in a higher state doesn't necessarily mean that your physical body will change, like as in the biometrics or the things like that. You will get healthier, you'll have things like that. But and this is a whole nother conversation to be had, was I actually jumped a timeline. So I actually jumped in the quantum field to another timeline because I was living in a higher vibration. So we lived in octaves.
Yes.
And a timeline that you're currently on, the perception is at a certain octave. And when you jump into another octave, like we think of frequency, music, right? Music has an octave.
Yes.
And so so this frequency has a new octave, and that new octave is a new timeline. So it's a new experience for me. So it literally comes with a new everything, right? Like, because I'm no longer in the same dimensional reality that I was before. And so that's the piece around the physical. But we were, what was the question you were asking is,
how did it impact you changing this conscious? How did it make you more impactful?
Yes. It changed everything, because when you are, think of it like this, you know, you have a dream and you get a wisdom or a download or something, and you wake up and you're like, oh, I know this thing. Well, imagine being connected into a field that already has all of the information for all of space and time connected to it, and you can ask it, you can plug in, you can talk to it, and you can get the information. So as you know, like I do a similar series like this, is a docu-series that in my first year we had a reach of over 1 million people, and now it's at over 2.5 million in 5 years. How did I do that? So I literally was plugged into the field, and I got the message to do that event in December of 2019. And for whatever reason, because of the way I was plugged in, that released in May of 2020. The reason it was so successful was because it was COVID.
Right.
Everybody, right? But I intuitively knew the exact when to be released. Everybody watched it. Everybody was on, because we also had some people that were on there talking about what was going on in the world at that time. But I didn't know I didn't know, like, cognitively that's what we were talking about, but I knew that there was a power to that. And because of my ability to align, when I sent out emails to these amazing leaders to be a part of this, people that say no to everybody said yes to me. I literally just said, I could see it, I could feel it, I could tap in, because they said they could read my frequency. They were like, I can read your frequency from the email that you've sent, and I have to be a part of this. And so
it gives me goosebumps. It's just happening again, goosebumps.
Yeah. And so that's the key, is when you are in that type of alignment and you're living in that state of consciousness, you have access to a space and time where I teach telepathy, I teach remote viewing, I teach all of these things that allow you to tap into. I channel beings from all over, right? Like, this is not stuff that I was able to do before I was plugged into the field. But the more and more that I stay plugged in, the higher that is, and the more the attraction comes. So my book that's coming out next year is, I want a writing contest with Hay House. I got to runner up to have
Hay
this
House,
book with
that's
Hay
amazing.
House. Right. But this the magic is this. When I sent the send button, I knew already before they announced it that I was a winner. Like, I felt it because I was plugged in. And then since then, because of that, I've had people like Marcy Shimoff, who's one of the top New York Times bestselling authors of nonfiction of all time.
Wow.
Doing a blurb for my book. I've gotten I have Neil Donald Walsh has come into, I have all these people. Steve Farrell with Humanity's Team brought me on as a host. Like, all of these things happened because I was plugged into this
energy is attracting these influential, what we call like powerhouse, amazing, whatever you want to use, big time people.
Right. And it's because my energy believes that I'm at the same level as them, that I am a part of that same thing, and I have this thing. So I actually just interviewed Dawson Church earlier today, and he is a scientist who has out a lot of books, really, really prolific, and he's writing his next book that comes out in May of 2025. And we were on the call, and after the call, he literally looked at me, he says, I need to put your story in my book.
Whoa.
And, and so right, like, and this is the third year in a row that I've interviewed him. So it's that kind of experience where you're sitting in this space. And I was in a shamanic training back in February in Chile. And so have you heard of the book Seed of the Soul by Gary Zukov?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay, right. So I have been trying to get a hold of Gary Zukov, like, sending the emails normal way for years. Sure enough, the day that I arrive, he shows up the next day, and we spend 2 weeks together walking through the mountains while we're doing shamanic.
Oh my God.
I now have his phone number, right? And he's a friend of mine. This is I said, and I told him, I said, I called you in. I needed you in my life, right? Like this kind of stuff. But this is what happens. Like, but this isn't the thing, is it? It's not me. You have the ability. Everyone has the ability to do it. We all have it. It's all accessible to us. And it is a vibrational experience. And it's not just law of attraction vibration. Let me be clear, right? So as someone that studies quantum physics and as a scientist and things, I can give you a lot behind it. It is more than law of attraction. And I actually talk about the fact that the law of attraction is great, but the law of light is even more powerful. And our bodies are the most important thing that we have. And we have to use that, right? We cannot just sit at home on our couches out here in something, and the secret is going to bring all this stuff to us.
Exactly.
We have to be embodied. We have to use our bodies as above, so below. It says that heaven and earth is our bodies. It is combining those two, yin and yang, masculine and feminine, right? It's all of those science, every single thing, although ancient traditions tell us, but they've gotten wrong what they mean by heaven and earth. It is bringing spirit into the body and use the body as a vessel. So our nervous system is the most important thing to reaching higher states of consciousness.
Okay, whoa! I thought I talked fast. You are just like adrenaline girl.
I'm so excited. I'm sorry.
No, it's so funny. I'm like, this is what I sound like sometimes, perhaps. Oh my God, what was the? I just had a question that came to mind and just lost it. Hold on a second. So I guess my question is, so here you are in this state of consciousness, everything's changing, and what you're attracting, all the energies is everything's shifting. How do you manage that in your nervous system? Like a whole huge pivot in all aspects of your life, where it's like, you said you jumped, you literally jumped a timeline, like you're saying. Yeah. How did you even get to become in alignment, in sync with that? Like, I'm just like blown away.
So part of it is really understanding how to come down into the body, right? That is the key. So I had been working for years, I'd heard mindset, I did transformational coaching. I have over 20 degrees and certifications and all sorts of stuff, right? But what it was really about was when I stopped getting out of my head and grounded myself into the earth, that allowed my nervous system to heal. So if we don't ground it into our bodies, and we can use, there's breath work, there's light pulling exercises, there's somatic movement,
the grounding mat I just bought, literally.
Yeah, I have a beautiful EMF mat that I use every day. I like to get outside too, though. But right, those types of things. If we do not practice how to align that, it's like plugging a 220 into a 110. You hear a lot of people that have ascension sickness or get ill or have dis-ease that shows up in their body. All of those things are signs that your body is yelling at you, telling you, I'm not in alignment. And so your body is actually the first point. It's your subconscious. It's the first point telling you something is not right. Mm-hmm. And so that's where so I did my timeline shift. It was 2017. And it was my 40th birthday. It was on my 40th birthday. I was in Tanah Lot in Bali, Indonesia. And I was sitting on top of a rock, and I was in such a state of gratitude that I was pouring out tears for hours.
Wow.
I was just sitting there, and I had a client with me, she was there for a private retreat, but it was, my day. So it was my birthday, and we were just kind of celebrating. And all of a sudden I saw the world viscerally shift in front of me. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, it's always going to be before 40 and after 40 after that. But the key is when you are in that state of alignment, or when you're in that higher state of consciousness, or when you do a timeline shift, it will pop you into a new experience. But if you're not taking the daily steps into the beingness and the action and in the body, you'll go back, because the programming is pretty fucking strong.
Yeah,
right?
you will regress back because you can't keep up with your body. Right. Yeah, can't keep up with the new
Right.
You're
But I
in.
had been doing enough work up to that point to allow myself to pop into it, and then recognizing I was there and was already healing, teaching people that I was like, okay, I feel this. Now I got to keep doing the practices that I'm doing. And I learned more, right? It wasn't like the ones that I was learning and doing in 2017 are primitive compared to the things that I now know and understand, but it was enough to keep me aligned. And I've jumped more timelines since then. So things have changed even more and have, you know, gotten to an even different state. But I always come back to like the first thing I talk about in the book. And I'm not saying breath work. I'm just saying breath, right? Like breath is spirit. And, you know, so learning that being in the body is one of the most powerful things. And then going back and healing your shit. Like so many of it's like, no way can you live in a higher destiny timeline or live in a bliss consciousness if you have not healed the things that are holding you back.
Traumas, the conditioning, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean you even have to know exactly what it was, but you've got to go in and clear it from your somatic system, right? The body keeps score. We've all heard.
Oh my God, the body keeps score. I mentioned that list yesterday in another interview. Like, I mean, if everybody should read that book.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a powerful thing because if you understand that, then you know, why is the body so important? You know, and but on top of that, what they now know to be true and discovered, and what we're working on in science is in your energy field around your body before cancer ever shows up in your body, before you ever break your ankle when you step off of a, you know, a ledge, whatever, is that the fissures and the distortions are in your energy field before they show up physically in your body.
Wow.
So you're literally living in an energetic place where these distortions are in your energy field. And so you can heal your energy field through these through the breathing exercises and through learning how to pull light through your system and through working with your energy field so that it doesn't show up in your body and it clears the stuff from your body. So yeah, physical is very important. You know, the body keeps score, but on an even more energetic level, and we could get into, like, I talk, you know, I'm working with DNA right now and things, and talk about how this all works together. But that energy field around us is really, really powerful. It has in it every trauma, every experience from this lifetime and every other lifetime.
It's so interesting. And so now I'm so curious because you doing all the things you do and getting all these degrees and certifications, like it's almost like your early experience in your 20s using drugs to get by and not having healed, but you literally accelerated very fast. I mean, from all of that, I was in your 20s. I mean, to accelerate to where you are, I mean, I'm not to go to where you are was it to me. When I look at it, it's like that's a huge acceleration and like a whole different leaps and leaps and leaps into different ways of being. Gosh, where did my thought go?
Anything is possible. Anything for anyone, right? So I was a 10 out of 10 on the ACE score. So adverse childhood.
Oh my gosh.
10 out of 10 by the age of 10, which is why I got into the stuff that I got into in my 20s, right? So for me, I understand, like, if I can, this is why I talk about what I do. If I can, coming from where I came from and all of the stuff that I experienced and then everything, if I can, anyone can.
Oh my gosh, Melissa.
I tell people that I've been homeless. I was homeless in 2009, right? I have worked with women and children that have been trafficked in India and in Nepal. Like, I don't care who you are. If I can do it, anyone can do it. And that's the biggest message for me, I think, I think people live stuck in a society where they're like, yeah, but that's for someone else. I have this, I can't do that. And I'm like, and it's simple. It's 15 minutes a day. I guarantee you, if you give yourself 15 minutes, I say 15 minutes a day, 1 hour a week, 1 day a month, and it will change your life. You don't have to rehaul everything all at once.
Here's what I was going to ask you. Thank you for saying that, because the question I had that came up to me was, what is your favorite practice to keep you in, whether it's the bliss state, whether it's grounded, what's your favorite practice?
Yes. So my favorite practice, and it's something that everyone can do, but you might be a little resistant to it at first, but let me tell you, this is the time. So first light, 30 minutes before sunrise to 30 minutes after sunrise, The blue light of sun is the most powerful light. It activates your pineal gland. You have light receptors in your pineal gland. You have light receptors in your DNA, and your cells produce UV light. So there is a magic of that moment. So what I do is I turn on my favorite music. And so somatic experience, dancing in the body clears out all of the energy. And I go outside and I get my light, and you don't have to sun gaze, but there's practices that I teach about with light pulling, that if you don't want to sun gaze because you are worried about it, then you don't have to. But I do sun gazing, I pull in light, and I dance. And I'll tell you, if you don't want to do anything else, start your day with 15 minutes of that. And even if you don't ever meditate, I guarantee you'll notice difference. And I could go into the science behind.
But hold on a second. Does it have to be the sunrise light? Can it not be like just any sunlight? Because I'm not a morning person.
Listen, any sunlight is fantastic, right? Any sunlight is fantastic. But if you can get yourself into that sunlight in the sunrise, at least, even if you're not doing it every day, I do it almost every day. Even if you're not doing it every day, a few days a week, 1 day a week, I commit to it, and then do a sunlight that's like later. If you're not going to do sunrise, the next best time is a sunset, right before sunset. But then of course, like light during the day of any time. But then also you can learn how to produce light within your own body and work with the light. So there's a lot of people that live in Alaska, right, who don't get light for how many, what are they supposed to do? That's where you learn how to the light pulling exercises and how to actually produce light. So they now know that we do produce light within our own bodies. They used to just think we absorbed it, but it's like that spiritual saying, I am light. You literally are light. You have photons in you, right? And so you can produce that. So you can actually work with your own light to produce light if you are in an experience where you have dark, and you can also use light therapy to help with that too. So no, there are ways around it, but I'll tell you, I promise you, if you do the sunrise thing and commit to it for 1 week, you'll never stop, because it will literally make you that high. You're just going to be like, oh my God, this is the best ever. I have people that call me in tears saying, this is what, because they are so joyful. And they're like, I didn't know what you meant.
This is what I needed.
Yeah.
It's funny, somebody else, I just heard somebody else talk about doing that just recently, actually, and I was like, interesting. And now you just said it. So if I hear it a third time, that's what I'm like.
So it's a sign.
If I hear it the third time, I'll be like, okay, Nally, no, you really have to start doing. I'm like, I am not a morning person. I am not. Anyway, so that's my excuse. Oh my God, Melissa. I want to get into some of the other topics. We had talked about so I mean, you may have answered this already, but what are some of the steps to reaching our bliss? And especially when it comes to us, again, this is called the Power Shift Summit. So tie it to embodying the fullest expression of our power. Well, let me ask you first. Oh my gosh. Okay, here's my brain going. What do you feel is your fullest expression of your power? And then answer the question of what are the steps to reach into our bliss, especially as it relates to us tapping into our power?
Thank you. So the fullest expression of my power is allowing myself as a female to have boundaries and be able to say yes or no without apology or excuse or a need to say why, but then also being in a feminine flow of connection and allowing and the receptivity, right? I learned about myself was because I was a trauma survivor and then all of these things, I lived in my masculine, right? My whole life. I was first the doer to survive. Then I was the doer to run the business. Then I was the doer to make money. And then I was the doer and I was, living in this masculine experience. I thought that's how I had to be. I thought that was power. I was like, power. The power of like, I can do this. I have all these things. I've made millions of dollars. I traveled all over the world, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then the power what I realized was when I integrated my masculine and my feminine together, and I was able to relax and to be allowed into that experience and to open to receptivity to where it just flowed to me. That's power. The power of being in the feminine and allowing for receptivity instead of having to go do it is so much more powerful than doing it.
So it's literally like it's less about the controlling and more about the being and
Yeah.
allowing, like you're saying, which is
Yeah.
so counterintuitive to what we've been taught and what we see
Yeah.
modeled out here. We think like, especially high achieving women, which I'm recovering, a lot of people, like women I know and probably listening are high achievers. We feel like, okay, next thing, go do, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we think because that's what we've learned and our bodies have remembered, and we feel like that's us being powerful.
Yep.
But there is a whole, this is the power shift. I don't know why. This is now, it's like,
Yep.
I'm getting a little download now of, you didn't even know why you call it the power shift, Natalie. I had my own reason, but this is a bigger reason of the power shift, meaning that the way we actually express our full power is so different than what we were doing it. It's not that control, that forcing, that doing. It's that allowing, that receiving, that being, that surrendering.
Yeah. And it's allowing ourselves to be held. It's allowing ourselves to receive help. It's allowing and asking for that, the power. So I used to think asking for help was a weakness. I was like, no, this thing, and right. And now I have found, I just returned from Burning Man and I spent 9 days there. And I'll tell you, you don't survive without asking for help. And it is one of the most empowering, incredible experiences. And sometimes you didn't even have to say it out loud. It would just come from everywhere in this beautiful experience. But the thing is that I was never open to that. I was like, so I never received help from my parents or my grandparents who raised me, because that was, you know, like when you have an ACE score like that, you don't go to your parents. I was homeless because I wasn't willing to ask my friends and let them know what was going on. I didn't have to be homeless. I know that now. I didn't know that. I didn't ask for help, right?
Yeah.
All of these things, that the power that I have now is my ability to be vulnerable, my ability to ask for help, my ability to receive. And it has changed everything. And it is more powerful for me to have that shift than any other thing that I've ever done.
I
And
love that.
20 hours a week now and have an international, school that runs and does amazing things. Whereas I used to work 80 hours a week trying to make it work.
Wow, I feel like that's a whole thing. It's just a whole gem right there, that somebody who has had all the experiences you have to say that I am my most powerful when I'm actually working less, being more. It's like, okay, ladies, did y'all just hear what she just said? I mean, this is profound. This is the shift. It's not just the shift to the feminine, which is when I called it the power shift. It's a shift in what power looks like and how it's expressed and how it's most powerful, our
Yeah.
power.
The women are the power. We're the womb. We're the creatrix. We are the ones that birth into the world. We're the ones that go through the labor pains. We're the ones that do all of that. Why wouldn't the feminine yin receptivity be the power of the world that is needed right now?
Okay, I'm going to ask you, I don't know, it just came to me. I'm going to just ask
Yep.
it. So you're in the US and we're going to be at a point in time where this is airing the week before the election.
Mm.
And, there could be a potential power shift in the feminine with Kamala Harris taking over as president of this country. What are your thoughts around that?
Wow. So I'm apolitical. I've lived out of the country for many, many years. I think that, and I'll be honest about this, I think that our entire political system is a shit show.
I mean, in America, right?
In America,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. And I know that we need a change, plain and simple, but I believe we need a complete, utter overhaul of all of it. And I don't think until we change the entire system that it matters who goes in as president, because the underlying underbelly of who's controlling all of it is not them. And until we heal that, we are going to have, it doesn't, I just don't, yes, is there a better and a worse? Absolutely. But in the end, until we go into the core and really heal the entire system, it's not going to matter who comes into presidency. That's my opinion.
Woo! Well, that is an opinion and a half. I mean, that's literally what you said. It's like they're not running the show. The system is the system
Yeah.
that they are. Yeah,
Lot
so
of
that's
underneath.
interesting.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'll tell you, I've studied a lot of things and looked at a lot of things, especially because I've been able to look at things from not living in the United States, and having lots of conversations. And yeah, I mean, I would have voted for Marianne Williamson, but I know she's never going to have, never going to happen. I do believe that there's, like I said, a better or a worse, but I also, because of the dimension that I live in my world that I live in, the politics of the United States do not affect my personal life. They don't affect anything that experience for me. Now, I have a son that is trans and LGBTQ, and I'm also LGBTQ. So there are things that do affect my world, but I don't allow them, to affect. Also, I do understand a lot of these things. And I never wanted to come back to the US. I never wanted to be a part of the US again. And I was called back into the US to live here, to be in what I considered right now the US to be the darkness, and to be a light in
Interesting.
it. Yeah.
I've had conversations where and I'll finish this with this point, where we've acknowledged that so many countries in this world have been governed by women. What is wrong with the United States, and what is wrong with, like, we're supposed to be the country that's the most ahead of the thing, but
we have 70-year-old men running everything.
Exactly. Like, what the heck?
Like, yeah, no. In the end, do we need a shift to the feminine and women? Absolutely. The more women we can get in control, the more powerful it's going to be for all of us, in that. But I would love to see women that we can get them that are, and this isn't the possibility right now. As I said, the ability to do it without the system that we're in.
Right.
Don't be to subscribe to Democrat, Republic, whatever, blah, 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 because honestly, the only reason those two parties exist to make everybody fight each other.
Okay, let's shift it from this point. And I want to go into, but it's a similar point. How does us tapping into Bliss consciousness impact the world?
Awesome. So by us, each person tapping into it, you are creating in the field a ripple effect. So it is the square root of 1% of the population is all it takes to create a shift. So we have what's called, have levels of consciousness. So David Hawkins scale on the levels of consciousness, the world, up until the last 20 years lived at about 185, which is super low. It's below shame. It's below all these things. Within the last 15 years, that shift has popped us up over 200 to 201. So when you live at a state of consciousness of 550, which is unconditional love or above, which is only about 15% of the population, that shift in itself, it doesn't take it. We don't need all 8 billion people to live in bliss consciousness. We need a certain amount of people and that shifts the whole entire society. And when all of society shifts, even the people at the lowest level have to shift.
Yeah.
And that's what this is about, because if we want to change our governments, if we want to change the way that the world works, if we want to heal the trafficking situations, if we want to do all that, if we do this work to heal and raise our own level of consciousness, it by default will shift the rest of the world and people start to think differently. We are in a state right now in the 5 years, a couple of years past, plus the 3 years coming, 1 billion people are waking up. That is the download of the channeling that we've received. 1 billion people. So if you're telling me 1 billion people are waking up, so that means 1 billion people going through the dark night of the soul, right? Which means they're going to be in the shit so they can have their breakthrough to get to the other side. But these people are seeking and shifting. And so we have this opportunity at this point where I believe in my lifetime, I'm not even 50 yet, that we are going to see a massive shift. I'm going to be a centurion. I'll live to be in my 100.
She's calling it out, y'all.
Yeah, no, I already know. And I know in my lifetime, so in the next 50 years, we will see such a massive shift that it's going to change everything. But it starts with us all learning how to live in that higher consciousness. That will help and heal the world more than any whatever, any war, anything else, because Gandhi healed the world with love. And that is all.
Yep. Wow. So gosh, anything else you want to share before we get into your free gift, Melissa? You shared a lot already.
I'm like, yeah, whatever. No, I think we're good.
Oh my God. I mean, I feel like everybody be like, okay, I gotta listen to that like 3 more times because it's like, okay, tell us about your free gift.
Oh, beautiful. I'm pretty sure it's the DNA and Bliss Consciousness. Yes. Okay, wonderful. So this is a 2-part thing. So it is a wonderful DNA and Bliss Consciousness journey and healing. So it has frequencies that were created for us behind it, along with I have codes in my voice that come through that will actually help you to heal. And it takes you on a journey into working with your own DNA to heal at the level of your DNA, and then raise you up into a higher state of consciousness so you can feel what it feels like to be there. And then there is a beautiful, I call it a playbook, not a workbook, a playbook that goes with it, so you can start to work through the things that are holding you back, so that you can learn to stay in that higher state. So you get to taste it, you get to be in it, you get to talk and work with your DNA, and then you get to see, like, what are the things that are going to hold me back from staying in that space and living into it. And you can use this. I tell people it's a longer piece, about 45 minutes. So do it once a week to really start to train your body into that feeling while doing the playbook that goes with it.
Wow. Wow, Melissa. If you had to summarize your mission in the world, what word or phrase would you say it is?
Spread more love.
Spread more love. You know, that word keeps coming up. That love word keeps coming up. There's something big there.
For me, because my definition of love is a pure, unconditional love that is the vibration of the universe and the field, and that is what you're plugging into. And so it's not just a love from me to you or a love of family, but it is a love, a vibration, and a feeling that if you understand how to be in that, and when that spreads, the whole world will change. You cannot be in that vibration and lie, cheat, steal, hurt people. You can't. It is literally impossible for me.
Yeah.
So it would be impossible for everyone. So if I can spread that, if we can spread that together, that to me is what it's all about.
I love it. Oh my God. I'm not being corny. I'm just saying I love it. That is amazing. Thank you so much, Melissa, for this amazing interview and just all the amazing gems you shared here. Just a privilege and an honor. And I'm just to have you here. I just feel so blessed.
I feel so blessed. You are such an incredible interviewer. This was such a wonderful conversation, Natalie. Thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of your journey.
Oh, you're welcome. Everybody tune into the next session. Can't wait to see you there. Bye.